let's get to our good friend Walter Curt. Walter, good to have you with us. Citizen journalism. Walter, it's been quite the lively day here on the John Fredericks Show.
Yes, it has, John. It's good to be back. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. So, when are you going to go to Ohio? You're in Ohio. When are you going to start investigating the fraud there?
I'm already investigating the fraud here. It's all over the place, and it continues to get bigger and bigger by the moment.
give us an update.
So, in the process over the past, 7 days or so, things have gotten a bit insane over here with the fraud. The Minnesota fraud has started expanding as soon as Nick Shirley's video went, buku viral. To the point 110 million views or something like that in 2 days. There's no one that hadn't seen that video at this point. But as a result of that video, we started taking a look at some of the other stuff going on here in Ohio. Now, interestingly enough, I was already doing a bit of investigation. I was looking into the SNAP fraud programs here, but I hadn't even looked at daycares until we started watching Nick Shirley's video. I was like, well, maybe we should take a look at the daycares as well. And sure enough, it didn't take very long. You find the daycares and you find millions of dollars worth of fraud. So now I've got a whole team of people that are flying out here next week for us to actually go do a bit of work on the ground over there in Columbus, because the amount of fraud that we found already, just when we start looking, it's in the millions and millions. I think there's one company that we're looking at, one organization, is over $42 million worth of fraud, John. It is outrageous. It is outrageous how much fraud there is. And, you guys have been talking here this morning about what's the deal with the Democrats. Are they importing voters? How are they getting the ballots? The bigger thing that you should be looking at is the fact that they're using these daycares to fund their political campaigns. That's what we found out over the past couple days. We've got millions of dollars pouring into from daycares into political campaigns that they are all setting it up. So they're funneling it from their NGOs. The NGOs get taxpayer dollars. They push it into the LLCs that are owned by the NGOs. And then those LLCs donate to political campaigns. It's insane. It's insane, but we're going to prove it out over the next couple days.
Draw that line for me. Like, give me an example of a political campaign that got taxpayer money that came from a daycare.
Well, there's a Somalian rep, surprisingly enough. Isn't that strange? There's a Somalian rep in Columbus, Ohio, who 4 different daycares sent him $2,000 from each one of their daycare facilities.
Like a state rep.
No, yeah, he's a state rep in Columbus, Ohio. I think his name is it's like Asid Saeed or something. It's not an American name. Everyone knows that. But yes, he's got multiple different donations from this. Now, I've got a friend of mine that's been working on a website in a database. And yesterday, he published in a post that's now gone pretty viral that said that he had found over $30 million just in Minnesota that has gone from Somali daycares in the healthcare system directly to political campaigns over the past 2 years. Now, you're wondering where all this stuff comes from. Well, imagine if you've got infinite money, John, taxpayer money, to fund your political campaigns. Imagine that. Listen, everyone's sitting here talking about what do we do to fight back. Let's cut their money off. That's what we should do. You may be able to get people you may be able to ballot harvest, you may be able to early vote, you may be able to do all this. But if no one knows who you are, that doesn't matter. You won't be able to outvote that. But if you don't have the money and you don't have the ability to advertise, there's your real option. That's the real way we fight back. That's the real way we've actually taken back this country. When you cut off the taxpayer funding that is going into campaign donations, then we're going to make some real change here.
So what are your next steps in Ohio?
Well, on Monday, I've got a team of about 10 people that are coming out here now, and we're all going to go find these businesses. I've got 73 businesses on one list just for 2 organizations. So we're going to go find these businesses, and if they don't exist,
73 businesses for 2 organizations. Explain what that means, Walter Curt.
Okay, so I'll explain this. So the structure, the way that this works, okay, and this is something I wasn't even really aware of. So a 501c3 can't donate to a political campaign, right? That's, it's a 501c3. You can't do that. But a 501c3 can own an LLC. It's called a disregarded entity. That's the way it works. So as long as the LLC is owned by the 501c3 and the purpose of the LLC is to further the mission of the 501c3, it can operate essentially in the same way and be tax exempt. Well, but that doesn't mean there's nothing stopping those LLCs from them donating to political campaigns, just like they can do everywhere else. So You've heard of the smurfing concept, right? Where they donate small donations, right? Very small donations to people's campaigns. Well, my theory was, and I think this is going to get proven out over the next week or so. My theory was, well, what if they've got 10,000 businesses that sit underneath these NGOs that they then pump into political campaigns? That was my theory. And I think this is going to be proven true. So what I think we're going to find over the next week or so, John, what I think I'm going to find, what I think other people that are working on this are going to find, I think we're going to find out that there's 10, 15,000 little NGO LLCs that are donating to political campaigns. I mean, if you've got 10,000 of them and they can each donate 2,000, you've got $20 million per candidate, technically. If that might be able to pump into these campaigns across the country. How many LLCs are there? And the big question becomes, how many NGOs do this? How much money are they getting? How much money is going to political campaigns? If it's, the numbers that I've seen so far, and I haven't had full verification on it to be able to say it with definitively, but the numbers we've seen so far, it looks like $30 million just in Minnesota over the past 2 years. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars across the country being pumped into political campaigns, and that's all being funded by the taxpayers. These Somali daycare things, they're fleecing the country, and we're paying them to do it. We're paying them to steal from us. It is unbelievable. And this is, you wonder, Tim Walz in Minnesota, is this guy, is he actually an idiot? Like, is he really stupid? Or is he actually just a capo? I mean, you got to think about it, right? They had the 2 assassinations of the political candidates, the political people in Minnesota earlier this year, the 2 lawmakers that got killed at their house. That guy said that Tim Walz told him to do it, right? So is Tim Walz actually stupid? Or is he just as dangerous as anybody could possibly imagine? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's just a patsy. But, you look at this stuff and it starts to seem that there's no way you can have, when you have like a little bit of fraud, okay, like say you've got a few $1 million, you might be able to hide that. You don't hide $9 billion worth of fraud, John. You don't hide that, okay? Someone's helping you. So that's the question. Who is helping them? Who's getting a cut? Where are the wheels getting greased? And that's what we're working on now.
Well, I hope you find it, Walter. I mean, this is I think this is your moment. This is what you've been doing for a long time. And now this is where you can really make a difference in exposing what's going on here in Ohio. Because look, you got Keith Ellison was saying right on a radio show the other day or podcast or something that, look, we're doing the same thing in Ohio that we're doing in Minnesota. We have a very vibrant Somalian community there, and they're doing the same thing, and they're going to help elect Democrats. I mean, he said it right on a podcast. Like, that's our voting base there. So God knows what else they're doing. And in order for them to harvest votes and be their vote base, they have to eat and have money, and they don't want to work. So they just give them money. They just let them do the fraud. They give them the taxpayer money for the greater good.
That's right. John, what I've said recently, and I've actually said this for months at this point, the Democrat Party is a criminal enterprise designed to import the third world and then pay them to vote for Democrats. That's what it is. That's really what it is. It's the baseline of everything. It's not, and I used to say that as kind of being hyperbolic, but I don't think I'm being hyperbolic anymore. I think that's exactly what it is. I think that's why the borders were open. I think that's why they're so mad when we start touching the refugees. Of course, why are they so upset about it? What is it that makes them so angry about all this? Well, that's how they're paying for their votes. It's everyone wonders, like, oh man, they're doing this with the ballots, doing that with the ballots, and now we know in Georgia they were doing stuff with the ballots. We know that, but at the same time, the people themselves, especially in Minnesota, where we've got the idea that you can vouch for voters. You guys were talking about that earlier. If they're vouching for voters, I mean, you don't even know how many people they're vouching for. We don't know that. We have no clue. But the deal is, you look at some of this stuff, I think that we're getting to the point where it's very clear that this is a well-oiled machine. Well-oiled, and it's not just from COVID. This stuff has been going on for a long time here. And how much money is pouring into this?
Look, COVID accelerated because they got all this money influxes. Stacey Abrams getting $2 billion to move refrigerators around. I mean, they have figured it out. They have figured out how to steal our money and use it against us. It's the most incredible, ingenious thing I've ever seen. And there's no end in sight, Walter. That's the thing. There's no way to stop this. We don't. The Republicans can't stop it. They're afraid. Everybody's scared of being called a racist or something. But you're right. They imported third world people to come and debase the country and then pay them to vote for them so they can have power, and they pay them through your tax dollars. I mean, it's the most ingenious scheme of takeover from within you could ever imagine. And they're doing it. And we have no ability to stop them because we have no courage. We're all afraid. That's what's happening. Go out there and kick some butt, and let's keep having you on as you get more results. How do people follow you, Walter?
You can find me at WCDispatch.com, and you can always find me on X at WCDispatch.
Walter, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, John.
John McGuire next.